Namaste and hello. This is your Sanskrit instructor welcoming you back into lesson number 40, where we will be continuing with the Sandhi rules. Before we go into the new material, I just want to touch upon what we went over in the past videos. So in the last video, we went over what's going to happen when a Visarge is preceded by a, and what's going to happen when it's preceded by a and followed by a soft consonant or a vowel. When it was preceded by a, there was 3 different conditions as to what would happen depending on what it was being followed by, what that visarg was being followed by. And then we took a look as to what would happen to that visarg if it's followed by a hard consonant, and they had specific rules. I do want to remind you that when translating something in English, translating something from Sanskrit to English or whatever language is suitable for you, or if you're writing a sentence in Sanskrit and you need to apply your Sandhi rules, always take a look. It would be a lot easier for you to take a look to see whether it is followed, whether that visarg is followed by a hard consonant first. And the reasons that I have for that is that there are less, and I said this in the last video, but I'll say it again. So there are less hard consonants in the table than soft consonants. There's more. And then the rules for the hard consonants are more specific. In the other rules, in the other Sandhi rules, you have to look at 2 things. In the ones for the hard consonants, you just have to look at what's after the visarg. You don't have to worry about what's before the visarg. As long as it's followed by that hard consonant, it doesn't matter what comes before it. Once that hard consonant comes after that visarg, you need to apply the appropriate rules for that hard consonant. But for the other Sandhi rules, you have to look at 2 things. You have to look at whether an a becomes before the visarg, and if a soft consonant or a vowel comes after. In this one, you have to take a look at whether an a comes before the visarg, and whether a soft consonant or whether another vowel or an a comes after the visarg. And so it's just 2 things you have to look at instead of 1. So I would suggest just making your life easier by taking a look at the hard consonant first, and then if there's no hard consonant, then take a look at the other Sandhi rules to see if they would apply. Now to the new material. Now, this is related to the new material that I need to share with you. So back to this rule. When a final visarg is followed by a hard consonant, depending on what that hard consonant is, if that hard consonant is a ka, pa, sha, and sa, then that visarg is going to remain unchanged. We went over that, okay? However, for these 3, remember, they're not hard consonants, they're sibilants. There is an optional, again, it's optional, it's not necessary. So if you want to keep the visarg unchanged, you can leave it unchanged. But if you want to be fancy and with the sibilants, you can do this instead. And that is what our new material is focused on for this video. When a final visarg is followed by a sibilant, sha, or sa, it is optionally, key word again, I'm saying this again, it is optionally changed to the sibilant that it was being followed by. So let's take a look at the examples. So we have Ramaha Sharanam becomes Ramasharanam. Okay? So what happens is that this visarg, since it is followed by a sha, it's going to become a half sha, which you see right here. So it becomes Ramasharanam. But remember, it's completely optional. That's why it could be Ramahasharanam, or it could still be Ramashharanam. Okay, so that's why the or factor is there. So either one is correct. Here's another example. We have balah sarati, or you can have balas sarati. Notice that this visarg here is becoming a half sa, and then it just like joined itself to this other sa over here. Okay, that's what's happening here. So if you have, okay, see in both scenarios, right? I can't do balash charity. That's not going to work. It has to be the same sibilant. So if that's going to confuse you, you would be better off leaving it alone. But remember, you might come across a sentence where you would see this extra extra sibilant, and then you're going to have to work backwards and find out what this term means and what this term means if you were translating. So that's why I'm exposing you to this. So let's just say if you don't want to write a sentence and apply the Sandhi rule, you might have to translate something where the Sandhi rule is applied. So that's that. Again, when a final visarga is followed by a sibilant, sha, sha, or sa, it's optionally changed to the sibilant, or you can just leave the visarga just like that. Alrighty, so I think that this is the end of learning about the Sandhi rules for now. In the next video, we'll be getting into practice. We'll be getting into learning how to practice and apply these Sandhi rules into our work and into translating sentences and making sentences with them. And this is your Sanskrit instructor signing off with a namaste.